及爆笑的节奏和评论。关注 SCBoy 官方公众号，365天每天更新，让你与20万猛男一起更便捷地享受我和黄哥给大家带来的快乐。不要告诉别人哟。
ELOs are even because I'll get into it. I'll get into it as we get into the game. And here we go in the top right hand corner. We have YoungYakov for Platinum R8. And in the bottom left, we have a classic for Twisted Fairy. Okay, so for Platinum Heroes, they picked up in the lead up to WTL, they picked up a massive amount of players. They picked up Snockstar, they picked up not just Snockstar, where are the pickups? The hell? What's going on? They picked up Snockstar, they picked up YoungYakov, they picked up Nikic, they picked up Nicaract as well. Yeah, they really did. They picked up Jumi, of course, another one. They got a lot of players this past month, essentially. They picked up Art, apparently joining. Wait, no, Art was last year. Yeah, it was kind of loaned to Platinum Esports. That's it. So yeah, they have since bolstered their team, and because of that, Platinum R8 are going to be much more competitive than they were in the last season. They also lost some players though as well. Bear that in mind. They lost Baby Marine, they lost DNS, they lost the Koreans, they lost 3-Point and Stephen Curry. True. They lost Firefly. There were a lot of trades. There were a lot of trades that were going on. But now we're settling into our ZVP, and YoungYakov, he is one of the newer players here. The newer picker, that's it. That's the word I was looking for. One of the newer signups from Platinum Heroes. And we'll see how well he can perform. Again, I feel like there was a lot of hype around YoungYakov like 2 years ago. During the COVID era of StarCraft, I feel like there was a lot of hype around him. And I feel like it was YoungYakov and Soul Spirit. For those of you that remember Soul Spirit as well, there was a lot of hype around the two of them, as they were two like young up and comers in the European region. That's a little bit upsetting now that I think about it, because I feel like both YoungYakov and Soul Spirit, they rose at around the same time. And Soul Spirit, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think he ever announced his retirement. He just faded away. He just stopped competing suddenly, like a year ago. So yeah, a little bit sad that we have since lost him, despite his performance as well. He had a killer series. I remember we were casting DreamHack. We were casting the B stream for DreamHack, and we got Raynor versus Soul Spirit because the mainstream, you know, they wanted a different series, and we got lucky because Soul Spirit, he popped off and he caused a massive upset. He beat Raynor. It was crazy. He popped off. No one was expecting that. So yeah, he had some good moments definitely in his career, despite how, you know, short it was. Keen, the unretirable. True. Commander Keen. Never really got. As we see, Classic going for a standard opener, going for a gate expand into a Stargate. Meanwhile, YoungYakov back at home, getting into his hatch gas pool into a third. Nothing too crazy, nothing too wild. He is easing his way in. Adept's going to be threatening a shade. Do have an early Evo chamber by YoungYakov. Very interesting, very peculiar. My eyes are on our Zerg player here. Looks like we could just rush into +1 melee. You don't see these early Evo chambers as often anymore. Used to be a little bit more meta, as the wall is not a wall. Classic doing his best hero impression. Lings, they do get in. They do get a surround on the Adept. The Adept goes down. And we just slip into the main. We force the Oracles back. We force them to waste their energy as well. Very nice start here from YoungYakov. The Lings will be shut down, but again, we did get a lot of value with this. wasting energy, forcing the oracles back home, getting the adept, getting a full scout of the main. And there's that +1 melee. Ooh, and an early Baneling Nest as well. Okay. My eyes are on the drone counts. Do we drone from here? We're cutting workers at 33. That's a very low drone count for YoungYakov. And do we drone up anymore? Again, the natural isn't even fully saturated. More links on the way. Baneling Nest is halfway done. Yeah, we're going for it all in. It's a Bane bust. It's a Ling Bane bust here from YoungYakov. He is all in. And Classic caught across the map. He has to race back home. Ooh, this Oracle going ham though. Adepts a shade into the third base. Drones are going down. Now what's scary here, yes, we are killing workers, but the reality is that YoungYakov doesn't care. Not anymore. He's completely all in. One way or the other, the game will end. Either YoungYakov kills Classic or he dies trying. Let's go. Baneling Nest is done. Lings, once again, they hit that natural. Oracles are in position. Where are the Banelings? The Banelings have not been built yet. They've not been morphed in. YoungYakov forced back. Queens are waddling across the map as well. Again, it's all or nothing. That's going to be 7 Banelings on the way, and now Classic knows what's happening. We have 4 shield batteries. We have cannons in production as well. The Queens have been spotted. Classic is aware, but knowing is half the battle. Can he defend? Can he hold? That's a lot of sentries. That's a lot of force fields. We're droning on the left-hand side. Oh my god, that's so smart. I love it. YoungYakov. He's avoiding the shield batteries. The Queens are a distraction. We flood into the natural as well. The brain, it's so big. We flood in from behind. Bust into the natural. Banelings are waddling in as well. And Classic is out of position. Oh my god. The reaction shots. And YoungYakov, he busts on through. 16 probes go down. We bust into the main base. Banelings are waddling in. The Banelings are on the way towards that mineral line. Probes are going down. 30 probes fall. The Queens are holding their own as well. We depower those gateways. Now, what's scary here? This is some good damage, but Classic still has a comparable worker count. He's got 22 probes to 29 drones of YoungYakov. And Classic has an army. Classic has an army. He can counterattack, but we have a lot of Lings with +1 attack. Classic is stuck at home. And YoungYakov is droning. He did make a wave of drones. Lings, they try to slip in. But you can see here, YoungYakov continuing to drone up behind this. He is macroing. YoungYakov is transitioning. And Classic has a lot of catching up to do. He still has his oracles. Impressive. The oracles did survive. Moving out across the map, we did reset the queen count. True. We bust into the mineral line. Drones are going down. 3 drones. Good damage. Lings are spotted. We're going to be able to chase them down. Stalkers are in position. Stalkers are in position. But again, that was such a smart play here from YoungYakov. And this is what I love out of WTL. I mentioned before that you do know the map and your opponent ahead of time, at least by a couple of days. So you have some time to practice, to prepare, to study your opponent as well. Preparation is, again, rewarded in WTL. And that was an all-in that I have yet to have seen. I mean, I haven't been watching much of the regionals, the EPT Spring regionals, so it's very possible that maybe it was showcased there. If it was, you can let us know. I have been unfortunately unable to watch most of it. The only regional stuff that I've been able to see is the Eric matches. The Eric games from EPT Americas, and Dolan, of course, as well. Eric and Dolan. Outside of that, I haven't been able to tune in, because we're usually casting. We're usually casting. Like right now, for example. As here we go. Classic is pushing on through. Good force fields here on the Queens. We do shut them down. Again, there's no Ravagers. Force fields, they are king. Banelings are on the way. They're just about to finish. Banelings are just about to finish. Do we have a force field? We do. We do wall off the ramp. Sold force field at a Classic, and despite the damage that he took, the counter offensive is just too good. The Ling Bane is melting, and Classic again We needed to kill him. We needed to kill him then and there with the all-in, and we didn't. Classic survived, and now Classic is snowballing out of control. He shuts down the Lings. He shuts down the Queens. GG gets called, and Classic takes game number 1. Whew. GG. GG, well played. Classic showing he's of the level, of the caliber of player where you can't have any half measures. Not against Classic. When you go all in, you need to kill. You cannot maim. Because Classic, he'll come back for you. He will bounce back. GG, well played. Very nicely done here out of Classic. Keeping a cool, calm, and collected head. Despite so much chaos ensuing. Despite everything being on fire. Despite YoungYakov busting into the main. Past the natural as well. Killing. And now it's going to be YoungYakov's map of choice, and we have our map. Game 2 will be on Ghost River. Here we go. Ghost River is coming up next. Is the shortest rush distance map in the map pool, known for aggression. And here we go in the top right hand corner. We have YoungYakov for Platinum R8. And in the top left, we have Classic for Twisted Fairy. I was about to say Classic's face, literally like, ah. The O face, man. The O face. I mean, despite that, still strong. Impressive, man. Impressive. Whew. As from here, we are going to be settling into our game. As a reminder, as we did just mention, this map is known for aggression, known for all-ins. If YoungYakov wanted to be in the face of his opponent, it would make sense to bring out Ghost River. This was YoungYakov's map of choice. So if I were Classic, I'd be a little bit uneasy coming into Ghost River. Interesting. It's going to be 15-15. Okay. Very safe opener out of YoungYakov, actually. It's a 15 hatchery into a 15 spawning pool. What this means is faster queens, is we do have a little bit faster access to lings as well. It will keep us safe and sound early on. It allows us to expand on location. That's probably the biggest thing about this, actually. We have seen, actually, time and time again, if a Protoss gets across the map very quickly, if they deny the natural base, it can be so brutal trying to expand and trying to fight back, and even taking the third base, it can be denied as well. Things can get very chaotic very quickly. So 15-15s make a lot of sense. Does make a lot of sense here for YoungYakov. Hatchery gets up. We have 8 lings on the way. Ooh, that's a lot of lings. We're doubling down. We're flooding. 10 lings across the map. We are committed. And the goal here is to kill the pylon. Lings have been spotted. Classic, if he underreacts, he's going to be in some trouble. There's no Zealot. There's no Zealot in production. The gateway is done, but we are not respecting these lings. We did spot some of them as they came out. And because the rush distance is so short, these lings, they get there that much faster. We're going for the pylon. Classic, he needs to wall off. Ooh, barely does. Lings, they get some good surface area. They go for the gateway. They dive on the gateway. The Adept is going to come out. Does come out in time, but the gateway will fall. Yeah, we have to throw down a secondary wall behind this. Gateway is going to get cleaned up. And a good amount of damage dealt there by YoungYakov. He kills the gateway, forces a cancel on another gateway, forces it to be rebuilt. Shield batteries on the way. The wall! The wall is not a wall either. The Adept gets surrounded. Shield battery finishes up 1 second too late. What? The WTL production team, they really want to see the reaction shot from Classic. Oh my god. We've had some moments like this before. As in like moments where players are in some trouble and they're getting caught out. But this entire season, it's been 3 days. This is the first time we're going for reaction shots. The only other time was Oliveira. The only other time was the WTL, the production team, they zoomed in on Oliveira's face a couple of days ago. That was the only other player. SC boy, they've got it out for Classic. Oh my god. Like, show the face, man. Show the face. Show him. Is he crying? My god. The SC boy. Here we go. I mean, they're having fun. They're having fun. it's just interesting that that so far it's only been Oliveira and Classic that they've done it to. Now they always do it to Oliveira. It's like tough love that they have with Oliveira, because Oliveira is like of course the best player in all of China, and SC Boy they're a Chinese team and they're close with Oliveira. They always meme with Oliveira and they always point stuff like that out. So I was caught off guard by the zoom-ins on Classic of all players. I don't know if they have some history with Classic as well, but they always like joking and poking fun at Oliveira whenever they can. And here we go. We do have the Oracle getting to main base. 4, 5, 6. Oh, no Spore in the main. No Spore in the main base. This is too much. 7 drone kills for the first Oracle. This should not have happened. This should not have happened. YoungYakov in shambles in the follow-up. 7 drones go down. And this was a standard Oracle timing as well. That's what's shocking. I mean, again, followed by the Void Ray, of course, but YoungYakov caught with his pants down. Behind this, we have Glaveadeps on the way. YoungYakov, can he recover, though? As YoungYakov, he's stuck droning. You know what I would have, if I was handling the production team as all those drones were being killed, I would have done a reaction shot on YoungYakov. Obviously, there's no webcam, but that would have made it better. I would have had a reaction shot on the still shot of YoungYakov for that. just to make things fair. The SC boy. Shaking my head. As, yeah, with that Classic, he is following this up with Glaives. We are amassing Adepts as we speak. Now, as a reminder, this variation of Glaive Adepts is no Robo. From my understanding, there is... Oh, sorry, there's no Prism, or is there a Prism on the way? There is a Robo. Observer's on the way. Okay, yeah, no Prism. No Warp Prism, so we can't reinforce on the front lines. We can't dive into the main either. What you see is what you get when it comes to Adepts. At the same time, though, you don't really need the Prism because of how short the rush distance is by ground. Yeah, Adepts, they cancel the Shade, stays strapped into the main base. Drones are being targeted down. Lings, they do collapse in. Big stasis into the main. And we target down 7 more drones. We shade into the natural. Can we get more? We get 8. Can we get 9? Not quite. 8 drone kills, stasis into the main. More Adepts rock up here at the 3rd. And YoungYakov is having a hard time keeping up. Good positioning with the Queen. Oh, can we get the Oracle? We barely do not. Oracle lives. Behind this, Immortal Production, Sentries as well. We're ready for a counterattack. Where is the shield battery, though? Very nice force fields. Oh my god, we're able to force and just... Yeah, force those things away. We slid our sentries to safety. That was smooth. Very smooth force fields. And YoungYakov, he's committing. We have a Baneling Nest on the way. We're amassing Lings as we speak. I'm curious if we're cutting drones here. Ah, we've got a 4th. Never mind. YoungYakov, he throws down a 4th hatchery. He's thinking about droning. And he is. Let's go. Okay, YoungYakov, he's trying to recover. Classic is ahead. Classic is ahead in the economy. He's ahead in the drone counts, in the worker counts. Immortals are amassing. Temple Archives is on the way for Archon production as well. There's a lot of pressure right now on YoungYakov to bounce back and to fight back. Meanwhile, YoungYakov unshaken on cam, true. Unshaken, unwavering. Let's go. As the Oracle is moving out, rotating towards the north. Relation going to be going off as well, just trying to get a read on what YoungYakov is up to. As Classic is going to be expanding, not going all in. We do have a Spire on the way. Let's go. Where is it exactly? Not in the natural, the main. Oh, there it is. Further back in the main base, has not been scattered, not yet. And mutas are a good way to bounce back. I would say though that it feels like the Spire is a little bit late. What I mean by that is that I feel like Classic should be pushing before the Spire comes into play. Force fields are forced out. We do get a sentry. Good pickup. Sentry gets caught. The storm is about to finish. Banelings are on the way. bold place to morph in. Remember, storm is done. The army is spotted. And Classic is getting ready. Adepts shaded across the map. Vials will be dodged. Get good movement from Classic. He's forcing this back. Queens are waddling in. And this is a really good way to just be in the face of Classic while we tech up into Spire. We tech up and get ready for that Muta switch. As YoungYakov is being as active as he can. Rotating over once again. Force fields are thrown down. Big storm here on the Roaches and Ravagers. A nice hold position micro. Very nicely done there by YoungYakov. Preparing for his assault. Spire is done, but we are spending all of our gas on Ling Bane, by the way. And we're committed to Ling Bane. Forget about the Spire. Forget about the Mutas for now. Maybe they crash in. Oh, the Zealots are going to be taken out. Decent connections there. But we maintain the High Templar. We maintain our storms. Oh, massive storm on the army. Oh my god. As YoungYakov does sit in the storm. Yeah, and with that Classic, he will take the fight. That first storm was just juicy enough. And now he's just forcing YoungYakov back. And now he's up against the wall. Ravagers are falling. We've run out of Banelings. Looks like Classic doesn't have enough to keep pushing. As the aggression ends, now we go into Mutas. But that was a lot of supply thrown away. Now, thankfully for YoungYakov, there's only one Archon. There's one Stalker. There's just not a lot of anti-air. Mass Muta, or even a small hit squad of Mutas, could do quite well here. Got some side defense. As a reminder, Classic has not scouted this. Classic is not aware. Baneling run by just threatened the southern base. As Mutas are headed towards the natural. No side defense, by the way. We did have a warp in, though. We do respond here with some Stalkers. A bit of a slow warp in, though, from some of them. Ooh, at the same time, Banelings are getting into that southern base. Yeah, 18 probes go down. 19, 20 probes fall. Classic. His worker count plummeting. Oh, as we get more than that, 25, 26 workers. Again, the power of a Muta switch. The Spire was completely unscouted. And Classic completely unprepared for these Mutas. They didn't kill 30 probes themselves, but they did distract Classic long enough for the Baneling Runby to slip in. And with that, 30 probes go down, and YoungYakov, can we fight back? Can we tie up the series? He's pushing in towards the south. Ooh, does take a stasis to the face. Storms are coming in. Okay, Immortal's coming in from behind as well, collapsing on the Roach Ravager. Oh, really awkward position here for YoungYakov. He's going to bleed out a lot of Roaches. That was not a good fight for the Zerg. Meanwhile, Mutas, they come in. Blink is still on the way. That's a lot of Stalkers. Finally, Mutas are going down. Mutas are falling. And Classic is bouncing back. Even though Classic still is behind in the worker count and he lost a lot of probes, he's still recovering. He was able to just out-trade his opponent. Did out-trade YoungYakov. Just had a better fight. YoungYakov still stuck on Ling Bane Roach Ravager, bearing in mind there's no Lurker switch or Hydras, or the Hive is just now starting, or just now finishing. As Blink is done. And both players have maxed out. Now, because Classic's worker count is low, he has a large army. He has a very large army here. Mutas are coming in. YoungYakov ready for a dual-pronged attack. Mutas are being cleaned up, and now Classic can focus on the main push. You can focus on the main army, and hopefully we can as well. Show us the main army! Oh, as it looks like a couple of storms did connect, we bleed out a lot of Ling Bane. More Banelings are on the way. Yakov, he is coming in, but this army, it's so lackluster for YoungYakov. It's so fragile. It's pure bailing and a handful of Ravagers and Roaches. It's not good enough. Yeah, YoungYakov is being chased back. And again, even though on paper here the supplies are close, the composition is just superior for Classic. The soup does lie. They're going for the surround. Oh, big storms on the Bailings. Massive storms are thrown down. The Immortals, they stand strong, and Classic is snowballing out of control. He's breaking through. YoungYakov has almost nothing left. Some vials being thrown down. A line of vials. But GG gets called as Classic snowballs out of control, and Classic takes the 2-0. GG. GG, well played. Once again, 2 games in a row, despite YoungYakov having moments, right? YoungYakov, he had some good moments in this series, in both game 1 and game 2, where he was able to catch Classic off guard. But it just goes to show how good Classic is. Again, Classic, he is one of the best Protoss in the world. He's top 2 in Korea, arguably top 3 in the world, or even top 2. You can make arguments here. Regardless, Classic is an amazing. Again, it is not just Platinum Heroes, it's Platinum Heroes R8. Because of that, Kelazhur, he has joined the ranks of Platinum Heroes conditionally. And arguably is the ace player. Ah, there he is. Ah, the yellow. Now, Kelazhur, he has competed in WTL before. He competed for Team Liquid. Did compete for Team Liquid. Mokou coming up, being featured for the first time. Mokou, aka Takanashi, aka, he's got another name. It's Mokou Takanashi. He's got like 2 or 3 more names as well. He's got a lot of IDs out there. We have casted Mokou many times in our tournaments, in Grand and Platypus Open, in Sparkling Tuna Cup. Mokou is a solid player here. If I'm not mistaken, fun fact, Mokou usually does observe for WTL as well. And here we go in the bottom right hand corner. We have Kelazhur for Platinum R8. And in the top left, we have Mokou for Twisted Fairy. Let's go. Let us go. But yeah, last season Mokou was the observer of WTL. Fun fact. He was the observer. I'm pretty sure he still does observe this season, but specifically tonight, he of course is competing, is playing, and won't be able to observe. Unfortunately, he won't be able to observe, but we can, of course, showcase his play here tonight. Just catching up. And we'll see how this all does turn out. I will favor Kelazhur coming into this series, I'll be honest. Just because Mokou has been spending a lot less time practicing and a lot more time observing. There are benefits to that, definitely. He has, of course, had a closer, or been forced to have a closer look here at some of these other top players in the league, in the world. And of course absorb a lot of that knowledge as well. But we'll see. We'll see how Kelazhur does approach this. Kelazhur can be a very creative player as well. We've seen Kelazhur whip out a lot of mech in TVZ. He's not afraid to mech it up if need be, to proxy, to be very aggressive even bio-wise as well. Usually Kelazhur, he thrives in the mid game. In the mid game, towards that late game as well. We'll see. For now, Rax Expand. Rax Expand from Kelazhur. It's going to be a Hatch Gas Pool out of Mokou. Standard builds so far. Standard builds for the time being. I don't expect too much craziness in game 1 from Kelazhur, but we'll see. We'll keep an eye on whether he goes for a third CC after that factory, or if he goes into a 1-1-1. Reaper does get across the map, going to be dancing with the units of Mokou. Gas is forced out. Queen has arrived, and we should force it back. We get 1 drone kill. Ooh, big pick off there already. 1 drone goes down. Good start for Kelazhur. That should not have happened. Meanwhile, behind this is a third CC before starport. It is going to be an economic build from Kelazhur. It is going to be economic. -50%. Oh! Reaper does dip into the main. Is forced out. We do keep it alive, keeping tabs here on the third base. Following it up with that starport. I imagine we're going to be going for an add-on swap for a Banshee opener, but we'll see if we do invest into that tech lab. Hellion production has commenced, and I'm keeping my eye on that production tab for the would-be tech lab or any other kind of add-on. And there it is. Tech lab is on the way. So it does look to be Banshees. Interesting. Meanwhile, Mokou throwing down a very early Roach Warren. We snipe at that Reaper, but did we see? Did we scout the tech? That is the question. We're checking the vision here, and we did get eyes on the Roach Warren. Did we click on it, though? That's the question. Now, with this early Roach Warren, we should be going for an earlier push. Again, this was around 3:30, 3:25 as a Roach Warren timing. This could just, doesn't have to be an all-in. It could just be a 7 Roach push or even a 9 Roach push. I'm leaning towards more 7. Not the most committed. But thankfully, because Kelazhur is opening up Banshee, he should be safe against this. Should be safe. Shouldn't take too much damage. Ooh, as never mind, Mokou is going for a massive Overlord explosion. That's 4 Overlords on the way. Big supply block. With that amount of Overlords, he might commit in some more Roaches. As the Hellions, they dive into the mineral line. Drones are going down. As 6 workers do fall, and we are re-droning. Okay. We're not going all in. We are re-droning. We are making some Roaches at least, but not too many, actually. Because we're staying on a low Roach count, we, I guess, aren't pushing out. Staying back at home. Which means Kelazhur gets away with the dive. Killed a bunch of drones, and he's not going to get punished for it. Like Hellions, they get outscaled as the game goes on anyway. We wanted to get rid of them. And Kelazhur is in a good position. Behind this third base, of course, Banshee has arrived. As a couple of Roaches move out, they should be cleaned up by said Banshee. They should be forced back. And it's going to be fire. I did mention that Kelazhur, he has been known to play mech against Zerg, but here he is going to be playing Bio, thankfully. Going for Stim, double E-base for double upgrades. We have our 4 racks follow-up. It's going to be 5 racks in total here on 3 bases, which is a pretty standard setup. As we ease our way into the mid-game. Meanwhile, my eyes are really on Mokou. Mokou moving out with his Roaches does get an SCV kill. Going in towards his lair. Now getting into Ling speed. Double Evo Chamber on the way. I would not be surprised if we see melee upgrades on these Evo Chambers instead of range upgrades to go into Ling Bane as a transition. I'm curious. I'm curious if we're going to double down on Roach Ravager or go Ling Bane Roach Ravager instead. Well, fast infestation pit. Okay. I see you. Get the fast pit instead from Mokou. Interesting. Baneliness is on the way, so it looks like it is going to be Ling Bane to help support. We do invest into +1 range, though. Interesting. So we're still investing into range. This could mean that we want to go into... I was going to say Hydra Tech and Lurker Tech, but there's no Hydra Den. Interesting. Okay. So we're just building up those Roach upgrades. Ooh, Infestation before a fast Infestor. Okay. Infestor's on the way. I mean, that's a great way to support this army. Now, 1 good Fungal could spell the end of Kelazhur's army. 1 good Fungal is all we need. As Kelazhur does stand forward. Dancing with the Roaches, dancing with the Lings. Rotating around. Raptors are on the way. And Kelazhur is just skirting around the edge. He's not really committing to anything. He should be avoiding those Fungals. As I say, that big Fungal does connect. That was almost disastrous. The Marines, they barely did survive. 1 Marine goes down at the same time. A big Ling counterattack gets a tank. Oh, we did bleed out a lot of Lings. Good pickup nonetheless. Efficient trade here by Mokou. Does overextend for a moment, only bleeding out Lings. Does pull back. Hive is on the way. Oh my god. Rushing into a Hive. Of course, Kelazhur is now aware of the Infestors. is now aware. And we're going for some drop play. We're going for a multi-pronged harass, actually. Double jump towards the left, double jump towards the right. Drones are going down. And Lings, they trickle in. We do have a fungal, though. And the fungal, ooh, does connect. File's going to be thrown down, but alas, a little bit mistimed. And Kelazhur does get away. Meanwhile, on the right-hand side, Dustin forward. Gets a roach. Doesn't quite get the queen. Quick transfuse. Jump is coming back in. Do we have a fungal? We do not. No fungal available. Kelazhur gaining momentum, gaining speed. This I was not expecting, by the way. We invested into +1 range, and we are going into ultras. That was the last thing I was expecting, but okay. So we're rushing into the hive to rush into ultra tech. Vipers, of course, on the way. Adrenal as well, but we have +0 melee. Do have +1 Carabase at least, but yeah, I'm not so sure if I'm fond of this from Mokou. As the Marines, they're slipping on forward, they're collapsing on the queens. Big link counter attack. We go for the hatchery. Ooh, we do take the bounce to the face, but the hatchery goes down. Back at home, we have plenty to defend. We get the drop into the natural. Everything is flashing, everything is on fire. Looks like we should clean up these Marines at the natural base. We get a kill on the 5th. That's going to be a kill on the 4th and the 5th base. Mokou's knocked down to 3 base economy. Despite his drone count, not able to make use of it. And even then, the drone count is low. He's been bleeding out too much. And Kelazhur, he's just pulling Mokou apart. Do have Vipers on the way. We have that Ultra Tech, I guess, but Mokou does not have the economy to max out. Mokou can't sustain himself. He's triple expanding. Mokou triple expanding desperately, but that's a kill immediately. Oh my god! A cancel, sorry. We cancel the 7th. The 6th even. We do force to cancel the 6th. We dive onto creep, going for the queens. Despite the transfuse, 1, 2 queens go down. We catch a viper. We get one. Oh god! We get all 3 vipers. We land with a power bomb, but that was well worth it here for Kelazhur. Big pickoffs. Ay, ay, ay. Diego, papi, calm down. Jesus. Bian, is that you? Bianjwa, get out of Kelazhur. As we do have our drop coming in from behind as well, slipping in towards that main. We still only have 1-1, by the way, +1 range and +1 carapace. So even though we have ultras, these are not the best upgraded ultras. They are still vulnerable. Kelazhur moving out. Mokou has been able to re-drone, droning up to 80. Failing does connect. Ultras are revealed. Now, okay, what's important here as we're getting into these ultras, I believe we don't have a Ghost Academy. Marauder production has commenced. Oh, never mind. The drop, it snowballs out of control. We get 10 drone kills. We get the queen, we get the roaches, we get the ravagers, we get everything. 16 drones go down. A very nice target firing there out of Kelazhur. 17 drones. Ay, ay, ay. And now we're getting into the Hydra Den. After the fact. Remember, initially I assumed it was going to be Hydras because of the +1 range upgrades, and now we're getting there. We still have the Ultras out. We did invest in the Ultra. I think Kindness Plating is done. And Ultra Speed. The army does take some swipes to the face. Mokou, not a bad fight. Not a bad fight, but the Banshees, they slip in. Limited anti-air, we go for the queens, but the power bomb should clean this up. Oh, as we snipe 1, 2, 3 queens. Good pick off there by Kelazhur. Does catch 3 queens. And again, Mokou, like, his upgrades in his tech is still lacking. That's the biggest deficit here for Mokou. There we go, starting up +1 melee at the 12-minute mark, at the 13-minute mark. Meanwhile, 3-3 is done. That's the upgrade disparity right now. 3-3 is done for the Terran. +1 melee is on the way for the Zerg. Now, with these spellcasters, there's a chance, is what I will say. You know, Mokou, to make up for the lack of upgrades, we have spellcasters, we have infestors, we have vipers. They can pop off. Speaking of, very nice target firing out of Kelazhur. Sniping those Banes. Drops are coming in. We have a triple drop towards the left. The Vipers, no! I just spoke about the spell casters and they will escape. But the drops are dragging the army back. Okay, we're maxed out. Mokou is maxed out. He can take a fight. There's a world where if he is able to win a fight decisively, then he can keep pushing and hit a base. He can hit a base, try to cripple the economy, and win from there. Like, as amazing as this aggression has been from Kelazhur, his transition to Ghost has been late. It's been a late transition from Kelazhur. So because of that, Mokou still does have a chance. Ghosts are massing as we speak. Medevacs are going down. Good pickups. And here we go, Mokou's committing. But we have a massive wall of tanks. The Ghosts get caught. The Ghosts, they do get caught out. The wall of tanks, not quite within range. Good snipes. We got one ultra. Almost two. Almost two here. As is Kelazhur mining efficiently? We haven't been looking at the mineral lines of Kelazhur. He's on 80 SCVs, but I don't think he's mining from top right or bottom left. So I'm a little bit concerned, actually, now that I look at that. I want to see the gas income as well, because Kelazhur, he has been lacking in that gas. But here we go. We do see Mokou rotating around. Yeah, it does hit that top right base. Again, even though this base has been under control of Kelazhur for a long time, there are no SCVs, no workers, no economy. No workers there, I should say. And Kelazhur is just burning through his gas so quickly. Here we go, we catch some of these tanks. We do snipe two of those ultras. And there's no repair. The planetary is going to go down. Big pick off. Planetary does fall. And Kelazhur, he's hurting. Like, again, like, despite the worker count, I'm not so certain that we've been mining efficiently here for Kelazhur. I have no control over the camera, so we can't check, but... yeah, this is still up in the air. Like, Mokou can take this, 100%. Can try to take this. We do see Kelazhur setting up here towards the left. Nuke going to be going up. The Liberation Zone's going ham here on the army. Kelazhur will pick up, we'll get the hell out of there. Meanwhile, the nuke, will it connect? It will not. Barely do catch it. We barely do catch the Ghost. See Mokou pushing in. Gases are being taken. Kelazhur, he needs these gases desperately. Likewise, Kelazhur needs top right as well. Well, he needs these bases. As Mokou suddenly has map control, going for the blinding clouds. Catching some of these Ghosts. A big blinding clouds here on the tanks. The tanks, they were bunched up. But the Ghosts, they stand strong. A good trade for Kelazhur. Mokou just ramming his face against the defensive wall of Terran. A fight that Kelazhur was looking for. Was that all the ultras? Uh-oh. That may have been all the ultras for Mokou. As, I believe the ultra count was reset. Base is going to be going down. We have Ling Hydra to work with here. Two Ling Hydra, and you can see the Ling Hydra melt. Where are the Banelings? Where are the Lurkers? Without splash damage, we can do nothing. And Kelazhur, okay, the Kelazhur's fine. It was the ultra count, the sustained ultra count that was really carrying Mokou there, but without those ultras, with that previous fight, there's just nothing that can hold on. Kelazhur is snowballing out of control. Bailey's, they crash into a single tank, and Kelazhur is cleaning this up. Again, Mokou was holding his own for some time. Was absorbing quite a lot of punches, and Kelazhur, he was popping off here this game. But Mokou did make a game out of it. What I will say, yeah, there it is. GG gets called, and Kelazhur, Diego, he will take game number 1. Whew, GG. I was concerned for a moment there, not gonna lie. I was concerned, but GG, well played, Diego. He will take it in the end. Mokou had a really odd way of teching. That's the biggest concern that I had that game. If you remember, Mokou went for initially a really fast roach warren, but he only made like 5 roaches, so he didn't commit to an early roach push. Then he went into 1-1 roach upgrades with a baleen nest. Then he rushed into a hive and infestation bit, into some infestors, into a hive, into ultra from there, by the way, despite not really having the upgrades for it. Then into a hydra den, then into it felt a little bit messy there from Mokou, and it felt like we needed a little bit more direction there from him, and without said direction, yeah, Kelazhur was able to have so much more control, so much more momentum on his side, and GG, well played. Of course, the drop play was beautiful, was insane, but a big reason why the drop play was doing well is because we had no answer for the drops. We had no Spire, we had no Hydrogen for a long time. It looked like maybe we were trying to rely on Queens and Vipers, but we were sniping so many Queens and so many Vipers, like that was just not good enough. Impressive stuff there by Kelazhur. GG, well played, and now it's going to be on Mokou to bounce back. It's going to be on Mokou, and what is going to be our map of choice? We're going to be loading into Post Youth. Let's go. Post Youth is going to be coming up next. Interesting map here for Mokou. It is a much larger map with, of course, the hybrid base is natural, with the gold base that you can rush into as well. I'm curious if Mokou has a specialized build for this map. I imagine he will. Let's go, as we're going to be loading in to game number 2. And in the top right hand corner, we have Kelazhur for Platinum R8. And in the bottom left, we have for Twisted Fairy, Mokou. Let's go. Let us go. As Mokou once again, for the first time this series, going for a 15-15, 15 a hatchery into a 15 spawning pool. Interesting choice. It is a very safe way to play, very safe way to open up. As we're going to have a faster a faster gas geyser. Gas? What am I saying? I saw the gas on the way. We're going to have a faster spawning pool because it's a 15 hatchery into a 15 spawning pool. 15-15, that's where the name comes from. And we'll lead into faster queens and lings. Meanwhile, Kelazhur going CC first. Let's go. The greed is real, and this is kind of like the new Radster Station in a way. It's not as extreme as Radster Station, but it did replace it when it comes to the greed you can get away with. Because your main base is so secure, in a TVZ, it does make a lot of sense. We've seen a lot of CC firsts here, quite a greedy build. Do we double down on the greed? Do we go CC first into racks, into third CC, into a 3-racks follow-up? I'm curious. Kelazhur, what do you have for us? How greedy do we want to be? How much do we try to get away with? Now again, because of Mokou's opener, he can't really be too assertive or too aggressive. If Kelazhur was overly greedy, Mokou, I don't think he can punish him. So Kelazhur would get away with it. Just with how these builds pair with each other. As the Overlord is dipping in, gonna be getting confirmation of the timing of the CC. So we are now aware of how greedy Kelazhur has been. We are aware. Mokou going for his third hatchery. Ooh, going gasless. Okay, we're meeting greed with greed. That is going to be a gasless build for Mokou. It isn't just a 15-15, 15-15 into a third base. 0 gas has been taken so far by Mokou because we don't need it. We will be relying on purely droning and queens. And again, because of the nature of this map, you can cut corners like this. From both sides, right? We have Mokou going gasless, we have Kelazhur going CC first. Could even go into a third CC, but didn't. Reaper dips in, gets confirmation of the droning at least at the natural, but has not seen the third base yet. He sees no gases in the natural and he confirms 0 gas in the main. Now he knows. He has seen enough to confirm that it's going to be a fast third base with a gasless build. Didn't see the hatchery, but he can infer it. And with this, how do we respond? There it is, third CC before starport. Just your standard economic follow-up. Roach Warren on the way, standard as well. When you open up gasless, because your gases are so late, because that delays link speed for so long, usually you skip link speed and you go straight into roaches instead. This is the case in this matchup, in any matchup. You would typically see this against Terran or against Zerg. Gasless builds are rare against Protoss. There it is, the Roach Warren's on the way. Is in production. Hellions, they dip in just to confirm the creep, but they don't really commit. Kelazhur just ensuring that, okay, there is a third. Ooh, and this is wild behind this. It's going to be a 3cc, not Banshee, it's going to be 3cc to starport into Battle Cruiser. And remember, in Game 1, I was talking about how Kelazhur is willing to embrace mech from time to time. Didn't play mech in Game 1. Ooh, as we're getting a bit of a pause. But BCs can more seamlessly transition into mech. So BC into mech would not surprise me. Would not surprise me as we're getting a bit of a pause. Looks like we have maybe some technical issues. Hopefully they can be resolved momentarily. We are getting into our builds and here we go. Ooh. Hellions are going to be backing up. Overlord shuts down, or Overlord gets shut down. Lair is on the way, and the BC is now in production. Now, did the Overlord scout the BC? I don't think it did. Roaches are pushing, gases are being taken. Yamato is on the way. Now, this doesn't have to be BC into mech. It's just, just saying that it can seamlessly transition, and it does accompany mech quite nicely. Could still be into bio, but there it is. We're reactoring out cyclones. Yeah, it's BC into mech. Let's go. Show us the additional factories. Be more crazy. Throw down the second starport. And there it is. There's a second factory on the way, so it is mech. So Kelazhur, he is making it up here, as we assumed he would at some point. And we've seen quite a lot of players have success with mech as of late. If you were tuning into ESL Olympic of Asia over the past month, you would have seen Kior, you would have seen Gumiho, and Björn play different forms and variations of mech. Oliveira has been dabbling in mech as well. A lot of the Terrans, a lot of the Korean Terrans, they have been mixing mech into their series, into their matches. Meanwhile, the BC gets across the map. The Queens are in position. The Queens are in position. Shut down the BC. We force it back. It is going to be forced back. And instead of going for some Viking harass, let's go. Up. We get a drone. We get one. Only one. One drone goes down, BC comes in. The BC got 2 drone kills earlier and won't get a third. So far so good for Mokou. He's able to keep up. Yamato is now done, so we can get Yamato up. Speaking of can, we will. Queen goes down. Spire is on the way. Link Speed is on the way. So we're starting with Roach Ravager. It should be Link Bane Roach Ravager. As we confirm it's mech. We do have confirmation. Nice hold position on those Lings. We get a couple of SCVs. Ooh, as Mokou overextends, he does get 6 workers, which is nice, but he's going to be bleeding out a lot of these roaches. Every roach going to be going down. Mokou, he realizes his fate. He's going to trade as best he can. He takes down 1 Cyclone and some Hellions. He's taking out whatever he could as he did fall. +1 vehicle weapons on the way. Continued BC production. That's what's interesting to me. Because we invested into Yamato, we do have continued BCs. We have 2 BCs for now. I believe that's a 3rd battle cruiser on the way. I believe that's going to be the 4th and 5th factory as well. So we're Getting into our production, into our three base setup, soon to be 4 bases. BCs do move out. The Spire is done, and we're getting into anti-air. We do focus down another queen, though. Mato's going to be popping off. 2 more queens go down. We're going for the isolated queen. At the same time, Link Roach on the right-hand side. We do slip in. Tank is exposed, but it does not go down. Good defense by Kelazhur. Does get 4 drone kills, 3 queens. Shuts down the roaches. And there it is, 15 corruptors on the way. That's a lot of corruptors, man. That's a lot of corruptors. Oh boy. And so we do see Mokou amassing on Warlings behind this. Digit up to 73. Has the gold base. Mokou is fully saturated. Can focus on his macro and his army production. Kelazhur gets caught out in the middle of his move out. We're waiting for these BCs to expose themselves. The corruptors are on the way. There are 15 of them. Mokou going to be investing into Swarm Host. I'm not opposed to this against a slower mech composition. Swarm Host can do well. As we do get a BC. We get 1. We get 2. 2 BCs go down. Again, their recalls on cooldown. 1 BC does survive. Swarm Hosts are on the way. Mokou is maxing out. Now, this wave of Swarm Hosts is going to be very important. Where do we use it? Right now, the Natural's looking a little bit more exposed. I believe there is no sensor tower. That's a pretty big deal. Kelazhur, he has very little time to react. Corruptors, they get into the main. Missile darts are finishing. The towers are finishing up. We're going for the wave at the 3rd, actually. Can we get any tanks? That's the question here. We're going to be flying past. We're going for the tanks in the back line. There we go. 1, 2, 3 tanks go down. We do not get the 4th. Corruptors are coming back. Ooh, they go past the Cyclones. And the turrets as well. Mokou leading out a lot of those Corruptors. Not like this. That 1 BC going ham. Again, I'm pretty sure Mokou just like switched his control group to the Corruptor, just like clicked on the BC, and they happen to just go through everything. Corruptor's coming back in. We teleport away with the BC. 2nd Locust Wave. Oh, that is premature. But we do take down 2 of those tanks. You can see the Locust Wave is about to run down. It's not really adding too much here. But regardless, the Roach Ravager is gaining ground. And we take down 1 more tank. Well, that cost us a lot of Roach Ravager. That was a brutal trade for Mokou. He's remaxing with 23 more Roaches. Now, bearing in mind that that defense was a lot cleaner from Kelazhur. And over time, Kelazhur is going to be weathering the storm. He's going to be going blow for blow with these attacks, with these punches. But his army is going to be amassing. It's very important here for Mokou to make sure every fight is able to trade somewhat well. Sniping tanks. Speaking of, look at how exposed these tanks are. We get 1. We get 2. 3 tanks. We managed to get 3 tanks here. And we go for the planetary. It's so close. Ooh, the planetary barely goes down. Big pickup. Kelazhur can chase down these Ravagers, but I'm not confident that Kelazhur can counterattack. They'll take down a Corruptor. I mean, he needs to do something, to be fair. Shaves off some of these things. Tanks are pushing forward. Kelazhur, he needs to break Mokou here and now. BC going ham. That BC is supporting quite well. But the Locust Wave is available. Corruptors, they go for the CC, that would be 5th. The Locust Wave is forced out. The It's going to be an orbital, not a planetary as the fourth. Another BC is going to be going down as well. Oh, the Biles! Oof. Final battlecruiser has fallen, and Mokou's still maxed out. The low drone count is concerning, definitely, but Mokou is sustaining himself. Maxing out once again. Go Locust Wave towards the gold base. The golds could pay off here for Kelazhur, but we get a full surround. And the base is gonna fall. Yeah, there's no saving that Nexus. We see Kelazhur desperately quadruple expanding. That's 4 CCs on the way. Bappy. Would you catch some of these swarm hosts? Should manage to get some damage done. You can see here the supply is closing a little bit. Kelazhur creeping up in that army supply. Corruptors in the main, being a nuisance. Locust Wave once again towards the third base. Kelazhur getting pulled apart. Tanks are exposed. Where's the support? Here comes the Hellion Cyclone. We get one, we get 2 tanks. 2 tanks go down. The Biles as well. They barely don't get another tank. Once again, this was a brutal trade for Mokou. Bleeds out a lot of Ravagers. And Mokou's hurting a little bit. Because Mokou is staying on a low drone count, he is barely sustaining himself. Barely. Like, he does not have a bank to work with. Because of those low drones. One more bad fight, and Kelazhur, he's going to take a supply lead. I would say even now he has a supply lead. My army supply specifically. Loses 2 tanks. Only 2. Like, bearing in mind that Mokou has a lot of dead supply whenever he doesn't have a Locust Wave going. And the Roach Ravager is inefficient as well. Kelazhur is moving out. We're going for the gold once again. Ooh, the Baze take down the Banshee. Greater Spiral on the way for Mokou. That I do like. I do appreciate taking up towards Broodlords. That I do appreciate. As we have a Locust Wave headed towards the natural. Scan does reveal it. Natural base under fire. CVs are going down. Roach Ravager here towards the left hand side as well. We take down 2 tanks. They're desperately trying to expand. Continue to expand. We get some lock-ons off. The new old Cyclone trading decently against Roach Ravager. But here comes that Greater Spire, and that will change things. Now, what's important is that the Spire, I believe, doesn't have amazing upgrades. I think we're on 0-0. As another Banshee goes down. These are brutal losses for Kelazhur. Locust Wave comes in, we get a gas. We get 2, but gas guys just go down. Finally, that Nidus is going to be dealt with. But it's paid for itself. 9 SCVs. The Roach Ravager's coming in. Where are the tanks? It's pure Cyclone. Tanks are coming in now. Just in time. Bathing speed halfway done. It is +1 air attack on the way for Mokou. We spoke about this, but again, doesn't have the best upgrades for his would-be Broodlords. Corruptors going ham. Cyclones have arrived. Due repair in time. Look at this max out once again. The Banshee. God, that's like what? The 4th Banshee going down to Vials? Aye. I mean, shout out to Mokou finding these opportunities. Again, Kelazhur just having a bit of a lapse in attention when it comes to his Banshees. Time and time again, the tanks are exposed. What is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tanks. There is 5 tanks go down. Can we get a 6? Oh. We don't quite get the 6th tank, but we get the planetary. Even better. Sniping a base. Oof, Swarmhost does fall though. And with the death of a lot of that Roach Ravager, with the Locust Wave on cooldown, we are exposed. And here come the Cyclones. This is the downside of Mokou's army. Again, supply inefficient, dead supply as well at certain moments. Oh, hands are off the keyboard. Yeah, there's just not enough to hold on. Kelazhur snowballs out of control with his counterattack. GG, and Kelazhur takes the series 2-0. Oh my god. Just because I haven't seen much of Goblin as of late, so I don't know where to place him skill-wise. Like, he's more of an enigma to me, at least. Maybe he's more active in, like, CSO, like the CSO Cup, for example, or some other European-based online tournaments, or maybe like the Platinum Heroes Cup. I know that Platinum Heroes have their own in-game or in-house tournaments. So maybe Goblin is more active there. But yeah, I don't know where to place Goblin currently in modern StarCraft, in current era of StarCraft. So this is going to be an interesting one. Something to bear in mind as well is that it is a PvP, so anything can happen. Even though I favor, and I do think that Stats is a stronger, well-rounded player, like when it comes to overall, like in PvT and PvZ and PvP, I would rate Stats quite a bit higher. But specifically in this head-to-head, could go either way. And if we get a 1-1, then we can force the ace match. And I mentioned before that WTL favors prepared builds. It favors prepared play and more strategic kind of approaches to this series. Goblin, even if he loses game 1, I'm sure he's very well prepared for game number 2. He's a man with a plan, with some kind of Roddy build, I'm sure. Here we go, spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have Goblin for Platinum R8. And in the top right, we have a Wizard Fairy Stats. Let's go. Stats versus Goblin. A PvP on Ghost River of all maps is going to be wild. Ghost River is a very aggressive map. And I'm curious how we open up. Is anyone bold enough to go for a gate expand? What do you have? The gateways are thrown down so far, mirrored builds. I imagine going to be 2 gate openers, but I'm looking for any kind of deviation. Stats does send his probe out on the map. Does send it out. Gases are being taken. And we can see Goblin a little bit paranoid. He's going to be checking his natural, making sure that there is no proxy in his own natural base. It's going to be a 2-gate opener from Goblin. Stats. What do you have in store for us? Because I do not see a second gateway for good reason. Stats is trying to be greedy. He's being economic. It looks like a gate expand from Stats. Show us the Cyber Core. There it is. It's a gate expand. Stats going for the Max Packs build. Going for a Max Packs opener. Okay. So, this is going to force a bit of a chain reaction here. Goblin, he goes in. He should be aware of what's going on. Yep, he does see the lack of a second gateway. He knows that a Nexus is on the horizon. And now Goblin has the opportunity to punish this with an all-in. Oh, sorry, Goblin has the opportunity to punish this with an all-in, as Stats is cutting corners. Speaking of, there's Stats in position for the expand. Goblin setting up a proxy pylon. Yep, it's going to be a proxy. It's going to be a one-base... actually, I was going to say it's going to be a one-base all-in. You can see Stats, he's looking for the proxy. He knows that the pylon is... the third pylon, at least, is missing. He's looking for a pylon. Now, this center location looks prime for proxy Stargate. I don't think this is going to be Robo, but never mind. I have to eat my words because it is a Robo. I was going to say that this looks quite far away for a Robo because it takes a while to reinforce with Immortals. And it is far away. I stand by that. But I guess because the map itself is very small, the map itself is very short, You can just throw down the robo wherever you want, apparently. Apparently it doesn't matter. Just throw it down. So it's a one-base all-in. One-base all-in from Goblin. Now, Stats, I'm sure, is familiar with this possibility, you know, with the potential of your opponent trying to punish you for going for a greedy build. Stats is going for a third gateway, so he has, sorry, for a second gateway. He has at least 2 gateways, but I have yet to see any tech from Stats. Typically, we would see a Stargate or a Robo. Hallucination is coming in, and we should confirm that there's nothing here. Yeah, we can see Stats. He just canceled a Twilight Council. He starts up a Robo. He knows there's an all-in. He is aware he's trying to get ready, but he needs time. His Robo just started. There's going to be a window. There's going to be a big window here where Goblin does have that advantage going for him. With the Robo, with the Prism, with the Immortal. There it is, Immortal's on the way. And Goblin is going straight for the main. Now, Stats, can we hold? Can we defend? We should have a shield battery in the main. We should have a shield battery in the main base. Stats once dubbed the Shield of Fire. There's no shield battery, by the way. Uh-oh. Adepts, they're going in. Shield battery just starts. And we bust into the main base. Probes are going down. We get 3 probe kills so far. We get a 4th probe and we shade away. Good start by Goblin. Here comes the ground army. Immortal and sentries towards the natural. Stats still in trouble. Yeah, Adepts are going once again into the mineral line. Probes are going down. And to be fair, the shield battery would not help the probes survive this, but again, would help when it comes to the head-to-head battle that's soon to ensue. Here we go. We're pushing towards that natural. Show us the force fields. Who's going to force field first? Adepts are shading in. Adepts are shading forward. Force fields on the army. Stats, he gets trapped. Focus down the shield battery. Focus down the sentries as well. Stats trying to escape. Again, force fields thrown down from both sides. The Immortal does come into play. With the help of the overcharge, Stats holds on. The overcharge put in a lot of work. Thankfully, there were 2 shield batteries, but we force field more of these units. Every adept. We focus on every adept there. Stats, he wants that prism. He won't get it. Trading sentry for sentry. Stats falling back. We're running out of force fields. I believe that's the last one. Yeah, no more force fields available. We focus down the Immortal. Big pick up. Good juggling here by Goblin. The Immortals are so low, but the juggling is good enough. As I say that, we're running out of sentries. Goblin is running out of steam. Up. 2 Immortals and 2 Stalkers. And Goblin, he's barely breaking through again. The juggling was on point. And Stats, he's hurting. Stats, he's up against the wall. We shade into the main. We don't commit. The Immortals drop in instead. And we rotate around towards the natural. Stats getting pulled apart. We do have the overcharge, but we just don't have enough units. We depower the shield batteries. Bit of an Artosis pylon there. And GG gets called. Stats, he gets punished for the greed for his opener. And Goblin takes game number 1. GG. GG, well played. As a reminder, Stats, it took him a little bit too long to realize it was an all-in. Remember, winding it back, Stats was going for a Twilight Council first. He was going for the Twilight Council, and then once he pieced it together, once the hallucination got into the main, the Goblin, but that was a very chaotic game. And here we go in the top left-hand corner, we have Goblin for Platinum R8. And in the bottom right, we have for Twisted Fairy, Stats. We saw him have more of a smile on his face at the start of game 1, more jovial here. The pressure is on. Here we are in serious mode for Stats. And again, as I was getting into, I do kind of favor Stats in a more standard game, in a longer game, in a more macro-oriented game. But that game 1 was very chaotic. Stats had very little room for error, very little time to react. And in the midst of all that chaos, Goblin took advantage of Stats. So after what just happened, I expect a 2-gate opener. I expect a standard 2-gate opener out of Stats here in game 2. But we'll see. We shall see. Like right now, I feel like the goal for stats is like get me into the mid game, like get me into a 2-base economy, get me into a 3-base economy, and I can take it to Goblin. And there it is. Yep, 2-gate opener for both players. This does make sense. And again, to be fair, it wasn't just the fact that Stats had opened up greedily in game 1. It was the fact that he went for a greedy build on Ghost River of all maps. Like, he was baiting it all in. It was wild. So, a wild choice there by Stats. Here we go. For now, mirrored builds, it's going to be a 2-gate opener all around, and now we get to play our favorite game of PvP. What 2 units come out first? Is it going to be double Adept, double Stalker, or Stalker Sentry? Which pairing of units come out first? And that will kind of dictate the approach that our players want to take. Cyber cores are done, and we have our answer. It's going to be Stalker Sentry from both players. I expected this out of Stats. Goblin doing the same. Interesting. Now, Stalker Sentry is very defensive opener here. It allows you to... Oh, it means you're going to be staying back at home. You're going to be going for a hallucination scatter across the map to get a read on what your opponent is up to. So just a very defensive opener here for both Goblin and Stats. So we're just easing away. After a very intense game 1, we're calming things down in game number 2. Calming things down, Bobby. We have our next side on the way. Goblin and Stats. And we're going for our tech of choice. It's going to be a Twilight Council here from Stats. Meanwhile, Goblin has yet to determine his, as Goblin did prioritize 2 more sentries. So he's spending his gas on sentries first before his tech. And now we have our tech of choice. Makes sense. Alongside these sentries, we're going for a Robo that should be for earlier Immortal production, to make up for how late our blink is going to be and how little map control Goblin is going to have. The way this dynamic works, Stats with the faster Twilight Council, with the faster blink, he has map control. He will be able to expand and take a faster 3rd base as a result of that, and will have the better economy. Meanwhile, Goblin is going to be turtling up more back at home, catching up in all that tech, and slowly establishing himself on 2, then 3 bases. It does mean that Goblin has potential for a stronger move out though, if we do indeed invest into earlier Immortals. That's the question. Because it should be Observer first. But we'll see. Oh, my apologies. It's not the Observer first. It's going to be a Prism first. Okay. Goblin wants to move out. Interesting. This is bold. Twilight Council's done. Okay, now it's all coming together. And he gets scouted. No shot. Stats. He dives in just in time to see everything in the main base. Sees the Robo, the Twilight Council, and the Dark Shrine as well. We should force a cancel, but at this point, we may just let it finish. I do think, regardless of the choice we're going to make, we're waiting for that hallucination to run out. Waiting for the hallucination to be dealt with, and the Dark Shrine has not been cancelled. It's not been cancelled. We haven't started up any upgrades. Immortal production has commenced. As we mentioned, it makes sense for a Robo opener to lead into earlier Immortals. And it looks like we're committing with DTs nonetheless. Now, to be fair, specifically PvP can be chaotic enough where even if you scout a Dark Shrine, DTs can still get damage done. But Robo's out and Observers should be on the way for stats. And there it is. Observers in production. Meanwhile, Goblin moving out across the map. He's got sentries. He has stalkers. We have a little bit of everything. The kitchen sink. We do spot the main army. DTs are being morphed in as well. Immortal moves out. Goblin committing with everything here. Okay. Stats is taking this seriously, and he is in position. Blink is done. Force fields are not going to be good enough. Blink is now on cooldown. Good force fields. And Blink just barely runs out in time. Does blink away. And we have yet to waste the overcharge. So very clean defense here from Stats overall. Or just, again, doesn't overreact. Doesn't panic. So we blink on forward, and we might even catch the Immortal. Uh-oh. The Immortal's going to be going down. It's so low. One more volley is all we need, and we will get it. We did take some extra hits, though. Yeah, Stats does have to back off. The Prism does arrive. Good juggling here with that Archon. Ooh, and Stats bleeds out a lot. Again, that Tall Grass working against Stats heavily there. He got 2 hits to the face before he could finally collapse on that Immortal. It took 2 hits to the face. So really nice engagement there by Goblin, making the best out of a bad situation. Behind this, Goblin has the higher drone count, or the probe count. 62 workers. 4th base is on the way from Stats instead. Blink is on the way for Goblin. More Immortals. Meanwhile, Stats investing into Charge and his own Immortal production as well. Okay, we're going to be calming things down here. As Stats, he picks up a probe. Sorry, picks up a Stalker. See Goblin maintaining his worker lead, which translates into a larger army as well with all those Immortals. Now, because of the higher Immortal count that Goblin has, Stats is going to have to rely on a more Zealot-heavy composition to help counteract that. Likewise, if Stats is forced into Zealots as Charges on the way, that's where Goblin can make use of his Dark Shrine and invest more heavily into Archons. And invest more heavily. To force Goblin back. It's going to be coming down. +2 is on the way for Stats. +1 still on the horizon here for Goblin, so there's a bit of an upgrade window, but it's not open for too much longer. Goblin just needs a little bit more time for his own +1. Backing up. Decent pick off there by Goblin. Pick off as a Goblin does shock around, engaging with the main army. You see Stats going to be transitioning tech-wise. I do appreciate this. That is a 2nd Rover and a Bay on the way. We're getting ready for Disruptors. Disruptors are on the horizon for Stats. Goblin still committed to his Gateway Ground Army. Keeping his Immortals back. Only moving out with his Stalkers. Being very careful. Keeping up with Stats, even maintaining his supply lead. As both players are on 4 bases, still sharking around, looking for a way in. Stats just needs to buy time. He shouldn't really be looking to commit into a big fight. He just needs a posture to allow himself to get into Disruptors. DG counterattack gets dealt with by the cannon. Zealot run by, shuts down a pylon at least. Does force Goblin back home. And Disruptors are now on the way. Stats, he's done it. He has done it. He's been able to buy some time. Keeping the army busy. Teched up into Disruptors. And now he's the one with the tech lead. And even though Goblin has the army supply lead, it doesn't matter. Not in the face of Disruptors. You can be down 20, 30, 40 army supply. And if you get 2 good Novas, you can make up for that. As I say that, we dive on the army. Big catch here from Goblin. Collapses on the Immortals. One Immortal goes down. The other is exposed as well. Here come the Novas. Big connections. Massive connections here on the Stalkers. Oh my god. But Stats did bleed out his Immortals. And he's in a lot of trouble. We focus on the Disruptors one after the other. Stats, he's up against the wall. Goblin, he's going for the kill. He's going for the throat. Overcharge is probably focus on the shield battery. Disruptors are on the way. The Novas. They don't connect. Good dodge from a Goblin. The 2nd Nova doesn't connect either. And Goblin, he's done it. He's broken through. Back at home, we have a Zealot counterattack. It is getting some probes. The Goblin, he's cleaning up the main army, shutting it down. Got a kill on the Robo Stats, hands off the keyboard. Ah, he knows, Papi. Oh, it's Goblin! With his hands off as well. GG, well played, Goblin. Papi cruising his way into a win here. Takes down Stats 2-0 in the PvP. Yes, Stats T did make it into those disruptors, did get there in the end, but before he could really join them with the main army, Goblin, he pounced. He pounced on Stats, took down the Immortals, was able to shut down the main army, snowball out of control. GG, well played. The Platinum R8, they take their first series of the season, 4-2 over Twisted Fairy. GG, very well done, very nicely done here. Again, Kelazhur, he put in some work as well, of course, for the R8 portion of the team. Goblin as well, I was concerned. Remember, if you recall, I was concerned. I was saying how Goblin, in my mind at least, was an enigma. Like, what is his state of play at the moment? You know, what is his ranking? How does he compare to everyone? I was uncertain of Goblin. But Goblin, he was confident. He came in and he was able to punish Stats in game 1 and pull them apart here in game number 2 as well. GG. GG, well played. Very well done here by Goblin. Very nicely done. And congratulations to Platinum R8. Congratulations. With that, we are going to be done here for the night. It's been a long night, by the way. It's been a long broadcast. 7 hours. It's been over 7 hours of StarCraft. We, of course, initially casted the Sparkling Tuna Cup. That lasted a good chunk of time. And then right after that, we dove into WTL. It's been 7 hours of StarCraft. I'm ready for some bitch. Ay. It's 2 a.m. in the morning, and I wake up at 8. Wake up at 8 a.m. in the morning as well. So I was struggling. I was actually struggling in the finals of Sparkling Tuna Cup. That's why, I don't know if you remember, there was a moment there where I stood up and I was like stretching and like doing squats and stuff. I was losing it a little bit like halfway through the finals of Sparkling Tuna Cup. But I was able to get energy, get my second wind coming into WTL, and it was a great series. It was a great night of StarCraft. Hope you all enjoyed yourselves. Hope you all had a great time. GG, well played. I believe we're going to be getting an eye on the standings. Now that we have wrapped up round one of WTL Code S, I believe they're just getting the bracket ready for... Well, the bracket updated so we can have a look at the standings. Now, the standings don't really matter too much because it's been only 1 week, so it's like 1 win and 1 loss. But, you know, it'll be nice to have a look at the standings to see where everyone is. It's not really too telling just because it is week 1. It's going to take a couple of weeks for the standings to really start to solidify and start to really showcase, you know, who's ahead, who's not, who needs wins, who doesn't. It's going to take a while for the standings to really start to fill out and really start to be meaningful. What I will say when it comes to some of the losing teams, and we can go over them once we see the standings, is that they do have some time here to recover and to bounce back. Clearly, again, we have 10 more weeks of the round robin stage. 10 more weeks, Papi. This will mess up the rankings. It will. It will. I mean, I feel like a lot of teams have leveled up. Like, Mystery Gaming has a much more solid... actually, Mystery Gaming is very different. Mystery Gaming, if you remember, they lost Shin and they lost Bunny. They lost 2 of their key players. So, Mystery Gaming, they went through a bit of a revitalization. They went through, like, a bit of a facelift, and they did well here tonight. They did well tonight. If you remember, Mystery Gaming, this was an offside. I'm curious how Mystery Gaming will handle themselves in these up-and-coming matches as well, in these up-and-coming weeks. Likewise, Platinum Heroes, they basically, like, got a full revamp as well. They lost a bunch of players. They picked up a bunch of players. Platinum Heroes is almost, like, unrecognizable now. Like, there's a lot of new faces, just like a fresh team, basically. But here we go. We have the standings. Bam. We'll zoom in. We'll zoom in on the standings. Bam, there we go. Okay. At the very top, after week 1, we have Mystery Gaming. Mystery Gaming there as number 1. We have Team Vitality as number 2. Shopify Rebellion as number 3. Team Liquid, Platinum Heroes are 8. And Starlight Twinkle They are the top 6 teams, and the bottom 6, Basilisk, Twisted Fairy, Psystorm Na'Vi, Berserker, DragonKy Z, and Offside. I recommend the VODs. If you missed out, if you did not watch every night of WTL, go to YouTube, go to CranKy Ducklings, check out the VODs, check out the live tab, which is where all the VODs are of our most recent broadcasts, and we had some crazy games. Basilisk, they lost their first round. Basilisk, they were second place, by the way. They got top 2 last season. Top 2 only to Onside, which is now Team Vitality. And Basilisk, oh, that's what up now. Hold on, let's go back to that. But yeah, Basilisk, they start things off with a loss. That's crazy, by the way. Crazy to see Basilisk on the bottom half of the rankings here. Likewise, we have who else? Psystorm Na'Vi. They underperformed. Psystorm Na'Vi, they had a rough week. They had a rough showing. I do think though that it was just one of those things where like it was just an off day for some of their players. I believe they can bounce back. DragonKy Z Gaming, they went up against a big team, and DragonKy Z Gaming, they also have a new issue to overcome. As a reminder, Dark left the team. Dark, he left DKZ, he joined Talon Esports instead, which means DKZ, they're no longer the powerhouse they once were. Remember, they used to be Hero, Dark, and Oliveira. Like DKZ, they got what, top 3 last season? Like, and even before that, they've been WTO champions before. Like DKZ, they were the team, and now without Dark, it feels like that was a key component. It feels like he was a key component. Obviously, they still have Hero. He's still the best Protoss in the world. True, they still have Oliveira, but their number 3 is a little bit shaky, and I'm curious to see how Su does. If you're curious, DKZ picked up Su. They picked up Su to replace Dark. They also have Jeshi as well. Jeshi has been improving. He has been looking good. I almost want to say maybe I want to say Jeshi over Su. I'm not sure. I haven't seen enough of Su. I've only seen Su recently in the GSL qualifiers. They looked okay. So I mean, he qualified. He qualified for GSL. So yeah, I'm really excited to see more of Su. Is mainly the big thing. I went on a rant the other day when we were casting DKZ, specifically saying that Su has been a part-time player for the past year, which is why he hasn't really broken in and broken out. But with Su getting picked up by DKZ, I'm pretty sure that they're offering him a pretty good salary, and I would like to believe that this is a good opportunity for Su to focus on StarCraft again, and not be a part-time player and commit a little bit harder and actually improve like Stats has been. We'll see. We shall see. Regardless, we're done here for the night. We are done for the night. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much everyone for the support as well. We do appreciate it. Again, it was a long broadcast, almost 7.5 hours. With that, we are done here for now. We're going to be back tomorrow, as we always are, every single day. We got plenty of StarCraft. Let me just double check the calendar. We are going to be back tomorrow with ESL Open Cup Asia in less than 24 hours. We're going to be returning with some Korean StarCraft. So enjoy. Do enjoy the ESL Open Cup tomorrow. Do look forward to it. We'll see you guys then. Otherwise, you can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Discord. !! Socials in the chat where you can follow us. ! Patreon if you want to support us as well. Yeah, all the good things. All things CranKy Ducklings. Go and get some rest. I'll see you tomorrow for ESL Asia. Until then, ciao, papi, ciao. Hasta luego. Ciao.